Hello. The reason I've made this short video is because I've been seeing on Facebook and other social media that English speakers living in France or uh, planning to get to France are getting seriously concerned about their ability to speak French, to communicate in French. Because the thing is, France is bringing big changes to language level requirements for both residency permits and visas. I'll go into detail later. But first of all, see if I can. First of all, let me congratulate you. You've gone through a lot of trouble to get to France, or going through the planning process, and you've had to overcome a lot of problems. And there'll be more. There'll be more, including the language-related ones that I'm going to be discussing on this video. But congratulations. Sorry. Before we start getting serious, let's play a little game. Let's go to your favorite cake shop and decide, and you've decided that you want 3 of those lovely opera cakes you can see in the top left-hand corner there. Now, let's assume you speak no French at all. Okay, bonjour and au revoir. But that's not going to be enough, is it? What can you do? How can you communicate? Well, all you can do is point at the cakes and stick up 3 fingers and pay and go out the door, and that's it. Now, that was the most basic level of communication, and it is totally inadequate, as I'm sure you know already. Now, I want to give you an example of someone else's French that's equally inadequate.
Vos Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, je ne saurais vous dire à quel point mon épouse et moi-même sommes ravis d'être parmi vous ce soir, au terme de la première journée de notre première visite d'État en France. Et combien nous sommes touchés par la magnifique accueil qui nous a été réservé. Votre générosité nous rappelle que ma famille et moi-même avons été très émus par les hommages rendus en France à ma mère, la reine, dont les funérailles ont eu lieu il y a une année.
Okay, I can only say as a Frenchman, and I am French, that hearing what I just heard simply made me cringe. And he wouldn't have been able to speak it adequately for residency permit or visa. Is nowhere near it, okay? And he was probably reading out stuff that somebody wrote anyway.
Vos Excellences.
Sorry, not very good at this. Let's get on to the next slide, hopefully. Here we are. Okay, now let's start getting a little bit serious. Okay, let's start having some real problems. Supposing your roof leaks, okay, or your gearbox is playing up. How do you explain this to the roofer who only speaks a little bit of the English, or to the car mechanic who doesn't speak any at all? The fact is, you learn English at school, but you were never encouraged to speak it. So basically, the French that you know in school has been totally inadequate, totally unhelpful. I've moved on to slides. Here we are. Here's why you mustn't delay in improving your French. I'll take myself on. Let's get really serious. The French Interior Ministry under Gérald Darmanin, who you see here, is bringing in big changes to the language level requirements for both residency permits and citizenship. I put the details in the description below, but I'm being very, very brief. Okay, the details are in the description below, but let me briefly outline the changes. Right. If you want to stay in France for between 90 days and 1 year, you'll need to obtain a thing called a carte de séjour. This word pluriannuel means you can renew it. But so in order to get that, you need to have A2 level French. A2 level is much, much better. Is much, much more advanced, is serious, is far advanced beyond what the gentleman was saying a few minutes ago. Sorry, I've moved on again. Okay, A2 level French, what's that? It means you should be able to understand and convey basic messages, explain what you like or you don't like, and have simple conversations on a variety of topics. You won't be talking Einstein's laws of relativity. You'll be discussing the price of bananas in Auchan or how the weather's turned nasty, or whatever. You should also be able to explain a simple problem like that leaky roof and reply politely to invitations. I must stress the word politely. People will be laughing at your attempts to speak French. Ignore it. And we all know how polite the French are, especially in Paris. But above all, don't be embarrassed about making mistakes. The next thing I want to talk about is people who want to stay on a bit longer. There's a thing called the carte de résident. It's, as I said, it's saying that people who've got their main home in France are living there virtually all the time. So it includes retired people, retirees, and also what I mentioned earlier, the carte de séjour. If you renew it 3 times, you're entitled to apply for carte de résident. Now, for that, you need to have B1 level of French. B1 level of French, what's that? It means you can easily communicate in French in social and professional situations. You can understand and you can give instructions. You see, this is far ahead of the A2 that we mentioned earlier. You can have fluent conversations with native speakers and deal with complex situations, either face-to-face or over the phone. You can grasp detailed information on unfamiliar topics. Again, please don't be afraid to make mistakes. So, what can you do about it? I pointed out the problems. What about the solutions? Well, the simplest, easiest, and cheapest solution would be to get together with some other people in your neighborhood who are in the same problem, in the same predicament as you, and help each other out. Well, that's fine, but what about the accent? What about if someone tells you something is wrong? How do you know that they're right and you're wrong? So, but as I said, that's what some people want. That's what a lot of people want. But it's got its limitations. Number two, you could get a bit more formal, a lot more formal, and join a language school. Now, the problem with language schools is some of them are really quite costly, and they often stick to a very rigid syllabus. Now, that might not be what you want. Maybe you want to try and integrate your daily experiences with learning French, or improving in French. You want to talk about where you went on holiday. You want to talk about what happened in the supermarket yesterday. I mean, really, they're sort of basic day-to-day stuff. Now, language school might not be very keen on it. So what do? What's your third alternative? How about getting an online language coach? An online language coach should be flexible, should be willing to adapt their lessons, their lesson content to your needs and your requirements and your level. Okay? That's what a language coach is all about. And they'll almost certainly be online. Now, let me tell you that I'm an online language coach. I'm qualified, I'm experienced, and I'm happy to tailor the class content to your needs and interests. I'm also quite a bit cheaper than language schools. But what's important is that you upgrade your French so that you don't have to worry about renewing your visa or your resident permit. Again, please don't struggle getting a visa or resident permit now that these new rules have come in. There are solutions, and all you could do is chase them up. If you feel that you'd like to contact me again, as I say, I'm happy to help. Just send me a PM so we can arrange to meet online, Zoom, Google Meet, Skype, whatever you want. Or I left my email address in the description below. Okay, thank you for watching.